everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Kimberly Snow with Butterfly Beauties. We are so glad to have you here. If you like what you're seeing, share, follow, subscribe, do what you do so we can keep doing what we do. Okay, so today we are talking about full coverage foundation. We're going to add some contour in there as well, a little lip and cheek to finish our look, but we are going to ensure that you get a blended, even look with your foundation. We are going to be using a product by SEINT. SEINT is a cosmetics company that I am an artist for. This is a cream-based foundation system. As you can see, this tin is one of the sizes where you can keep your entire makeup palette. So on the first shelf, I have my eyeshadow looks, my powders, my brows, and then on the bottom shelf is where we're going to be working out of today, where I have 3 different highlight or foundation colors. I have a contour and I have 2 lip and cheeks to pick from. So as you can see, with this one tin and a couple of brushes, you're good to go with your entire look. Okay, so when we're talking full coverage, typically that's because either people just like more of a even look, or they're trying to hide different imperfections, or it just could be that's your jam. That's what you like in a makeup product. But what we all want, whether it's light, medium, or full coverage, is to not look like we are wearing makeup. So that goes with proper color match and proper product tools that you're using and how you're actually applying it. So because we're talking about cream, and with this product, it's not one size fits all, as if you would go to the drugstore or Sephora or a department store, you could just kind of pull off the shelf. This really does, to get the best benefit from your coverage, you really do need to use an artist. And that's what people like myself are here for. So it's very easy to get color matched, and I'll explain why it's so important. Typically when we go to try to pick up product ourselves, especially if we are looking to cover up imperfections, we have been kind of taught in the industry and just kind of through not really having a whole lot of knowledge and kind of just stabbing in the dark, that we typically go and get a color that closest matches our face, or lighter even, to try to correct those imperfections. When really what you should, the way to get the best benefit from your color correction is to go to the shade that kind of mimics or is closest to that. Or if you're thinking about the color wheel, if we're going to be trying to cover up purples and blues and things like that, or redness, we want to go to the opposite end of that color wheel in order to do that. So when I say to you, this is my color corrector, and you go, oh my God, no way, that is so orange. You're right, it does kind of have an orange tinge to it, but I'm trying to correct this redness or any purple under my eyes. I have age spots, sunspots, melasma that I am trying to cover up. And so the best way to do that with the longest coverage is to go to something that is somewhat close. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. Then I'm going to go to my main highlight color, and that's going to be what's closest to my skin tone. And then I have a brightener for those areas that I really just want to make pop at the end of my coverage. The contour also has coverage when it comes to a SEINT product. So not only are you going to have coverage with all of your 3 triple D foundation colors, but added into that 3D look is your contour, which is also going to give you coverage, which is great if you're looking for that full coverage look. So what kind of imperfections are we talking about? I mentioned a little bit, I have some redness on my cheeks. I do get some purple or blue undertones. You might be getting darker color circles underneath your eyes. I do have a lot of sunspots. I have a lot of melasma on my neck, which are just little darker spots on my skin. I do have a beauty mole kind of here. I like to call it beauty. I love it. So I really don't try to cover it up anymore because it's a pop of color for me. But let's just imagine that was acne on my skin. I have a little bit of acne down here that is red. So that would be another thing that you could try to mimic or correct. Other than imperfections, what we are really trying to accomplish is to get one blended look where we don't look like our head is floating because our neck is a different color than our face or our head, and it really does look like you're having makeup. The other issue that you could have with full coverage if you're using, say, liquids or powders is longevity of the product, and also the breakdown that you get as you go more through the day. So that's what we're trying to avoid as well. And creams are perfect for that because they kind of form a second skin. So let's kind of get started here. We are going to start with color correcting. And let me go back just a quick second. So to get color matched, you really want to be with an artist who kind of understands skin tone and also this cream-based product. It's very simple. All you do is fill out a couple of questions. You take a couple of photographs, one with makeup so I can see what type of full coverage makeup wearer you typically are, and also with a clean face so that I can see what the imperfections are that you're trying to diminish underneath that full coverage. So this is a buildable product. We are going to actually be building our coverage with a couple of different things, but it still should look like a second skin no matter what type of layers that we place on. So how am I going to color correct? I'm going to use Mango today. Mango is my color corrector, and I could actually use a couple of different brushes. I could use the blush bronzer brush we talked about, or I could use my buff brush. It has a small end and a wide end. So I could go in and color correct that way. You do need, even though we are doing full coverage today, you do not need a lot of product to accomplish that. So least amount of product layered on top of each other to get our full coverage. So if you're thinking about it, if you're a beginner, especially working with creams, the number one thing that happens, and the reason why people, at first aren't as happy with how it comes out is because they're using too much product. So in order to avoid that, you may want to use a brush that has bristles that are maybe not quite as tight as that buff brush. Okay, so I'm going to go in with this blush and bronzer brush for my actual color corrector, and I'm going to use the blush end. So I'm just going to tap. I'm not going to swipe product out and swipe product on my face. That is what is going to give us that you're wearing makeup kind of look, and not necessarily give you longevity. So you can see I have a little bit of product on my brush. I'm going to just go into this area right here. This is where I have redness on my cheeks, and I can start out with a little bit of product and keep building as I need to. The other thing I have an issue with is capillaries along my nose, and I have a lot of freckles and redness to my nose, so it makes it look darker. So I'm going to be correcting those areas as well. I am going to just tap. I'm not going to swipe or swirl at this point because I'm really looking to just press that product into those areas. I would say at this point, let's just focus on things that are outside of our eye line because I think we're going to get a little bit better. What we don't want to do is be pressing and swiping and swirling under our eyes. That skin is thinner. And so it will fall into any lines that we may have there. So right now, when I say color correction, we are not correcting texture. We're not correcting fine lines and wrinkles. We're not correcting acne scars and things of that nature. Texture will always be there, and the way you combat that is the correct color. Too light of a color that you're using is going to accentuate those texture issues. Right now, what we are doing is color correcting. So any off color that we have that is not our actual skin tone is what we are trying to diminish right now. So I'm going to just keep tapping in here until my redness is gone. Okay, so I feel like my redness is covered. I did put a little bit of product down below here because I do have some age and sunspots along here. So as you can see, I kind of corrected my whole, pretty close to my whole face today, because if I'm looking for full coverage, I have issues in all of those areas. So that is what I'm correcting. My biggest issue was correcting the redness. I feel like I got a good amount there. If I don't, I can always go back to just those specific areas with a smaller brush. But I am at this point kind of happy with where I'm at, you know, evenness wise. So I am going to move to my all over main highlight, which is Sandy. Again, same brush. I am not going to switch out what I'm doing. I'm going to just tap into Sandy, and I'm going to just tap her all over. I am going to go just a little bit under my eyes with her to start with. But I will go back with my finger just to make sure that I have good coverage. I'm going to bring that down my neck just a little bit. So you can see that although this Triple D foundation is for everyone, the colors that I'm using may not be for you. Now, Mango is great to cover purples and reds and some shades of brown. You may have a lighter skin tone than what I have, and you may not need this orangey of a color. That's the best way to have your artist match your personal skin tone to make sure that you're getting the best. If you used Mango and you were more fair skinned, it would obviously show up more orange and not really be doing its due diligence. So you would want a different color to actually color correct, depending on how red your redness is. And it could be the opposite as well. Maybe you're even more red than I am and you really need more of a color correction. So you need to go even higher than what I'm at with Mango. So that's what's really important about color correction and making sure that you get the best color to give you that even skin tone. All right, I am going to just keep going here. And as we build this, it is going to look like we have makeup on, but we have a tool in our arsenal that is going to take that away. Okay. So I feel like I'm pretty good with my all over main highlight. So I am going to move to my contour. Now contour also has coverage. So if you tend to have issues in these areas where we're going to be placing our contour, this gives you that extra little bit of coverage on top so that you can help minimize those. Again, if you need a little bit more product just in a certain area, just put that product in that area. You don't need to put that all over your face if you're going to keep building. This is the detailed hack brush we talked about. I am going to just dip into my contour color because contours are a little bit drier than the foundations. So the foundations, as you look at it, were a little creamy. We just had to dab a little bit. I'm really going to push my brush in to indigo, which is my contour color for today. And you can see that on my brush. I'm going to go ahead and come up to my forehead, and I am going to just pull that product back into my hairline. I have a higher forehead, so I am going to come a little bit further down on my forehead to try to create that illusion of when you look at me, it draws your eye down onto my face a little further, not quite as high up on my forehead. So I know contour can be scary because it's such a dark color. It really doesn't have to be. And creams are really forgiving. So if you do make a mistake and you get too much, all you have to do is go back in with your highlight brush and just go ahead and blend out that area. Typically what people notice is they don't use enough product, so they're adding as opposed to taking away. I am going to place my contour right underneath my cheekbone, which is right here, typically in line with the top of my ear. And as I turn, you can see there's already a little shadow line there. So I'm going to start at the back of my ear and bring that down. It looks like a sharp line. If I go too far, I'm going to try to stay even with the end of my eye. I can always use my highlight brush and buff that out. Right now, I'm just going to pull this shade upward so that keep that face looking like it's up where it's supposed to be and not falling down. Okay, again, we talked about coverage with this contour. I could actually add a little bit more. Contour is a little bit easier to match because we don't necessarily, you can get away with a couple of different colors. What we're kind of trying to do is stick with the shadows of your face. The other thing we look at is your natural eyebrow color. I'm gonna just, so you can see, smooth this out just a little bit. But I'm getting that shadow that I'm looking for. All right, I'm gonna go in and do the other side. I'll see you in a minute. Okay. Let's go in and chisel our jaw out. The whole point of contour is to create dimension in your face. So wherever you naturally have shadows, we're gonna mimic that to give you more a defined or a chiseled look. So I'm going to stick to the areas that already naturally have shadow, which is right back here behind your ear and along your jawline. And then I'm just going to draw that down into my neck. Okay. I'm going to use this small end and I'm going to create a pouty look with my contour right underneath my lip. I'm going to put a little bit underneath, right above my Cupid's bow. Okay. Okay, I think we got the shadows that we're looking for with our contour. And so far, our coverage, as you can see, isn't too bad. So if I had any extra, I got a little bit more coverage with that contour. So I think we're looking okay in that area. I'm going to go ahead and use the same brush, the other end of my detailed hack brush, and I'm going to go into that lighter shade. That is my brightener color. I'm going to tap into that. Actually, you know what we're going to do first? I'm going to show you, like I said before, I'm going to go back into my color corrector, my Mango, and if I had any extra areas underneath my eyes that I needed to correct, I'm going to just tap on those areas. I'm going to let the warmth of my finger do the blending. You want to be extra gentle underneath your eye. The last thing you want to do is deposit product so that it grabs in those lines and sits in any fine lines that you might have underneath your eyes. That skin is really delicate, so we just need to be extra careful. So if you had any purple, brown tones, with your color corrector, you're going to go in just gently with your finger and just apply it to those areas. If there's just a specific spot that you were looking to correct, you could actually just go in with a brush just right in that area. You don't have to do all the way under if you don't have blue tones all the way under. Just right on that spot. Okay, now let's go into our brightener color, and I'm going to just tap underneath my eyes and along the side of my nose. Now, I didn't contour my nose yet. I'm going to do that, but I am going to bring that shadow right underneath where that contour is going to go, and I'm going to just lighten things up so it gives me that illusion of a bright look. I'm just going to make that small triangle right here, and I'm just pressing. Again, this is giving us additional coverage, so it's kind of doing double duty, right? It's giving us a brightener, and it's also more coverage. So if this is the area that you are looking for coverage, that's what you want to do. I'm going to go in, I'm just going to give myself a little bit of brightness down here and extra coverage because I do have a red area right here. I'm going to go just right over top of where I was on that contour. And I'm going to go into my forehead right here, up into this kind of mimicked triangle area. And then I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to just blend the edges up top. Okay, so that just gave me a little bit of brightness in those areas. I am going to contour my nose. I'm going to use a color called Shadow. I'm going to show you. Shadow is typically just for noses. It's a little bit grayer. Sometimes if you use the contour that you had on your cheeks, not always, it can make your nose look dirty. So if you're not getting the results that you want with the contour that you're using around the rest of your face, you could always go with a color like Shadow, and you could place your contour. I'm going to start at the bridge of my nose, and I'm going to just take this line straight down. We're not going to get crazy with the color. I'm going to just bring this in so that it kind of makes my nose a little thinner. I'm going to start at the bridge. Just going to bring this line down. I'm just staying on either side of the bone on the top. And I'm just bringing it in from the bridge of my nose. Okay, I'm going to use that multitasker brush. And I'm going to go back into that brightener color that we used, the lightest shade. I'm just going to run that right down the center of my, in between where I had my contour, right at the edge. I'm going to take the end of my detailed hack brush and I'm going to just blend. So that brightener is going to attach to what we put on our forehead. I'm going to blend out my nose just a little bit. And then you can see it kind of gave that illusion of a slimmer nose. And that's kind of really why people contour their nose, is to just, again, add dimension, chisel out those features, no different than you're doing on your cheeks and also your jawbone and your forehead. Okay, I think we're pretty good. So now what I would do is, if I had some spots that I'm seeing and I'm looking that, you know, just really aren't as camouflaged as I want, I'm going to go in with that multitasker brush, but the very small end. I'm going to go into my color corrector and just dip. And then I'm going to just place that product right on the area that I want to color correct. Now this is a really bright, and obviously I'm not going to get rid of the texture, right? The texture is always going to be there. I'm just diminishing the color, which is kind of assisting us in giving us that look. So I definitely have a few things up here. So you can get as, picky as you want to, depending on, since you're into full coverage, you kind of are really looking to get rid of any spots. And I could keep going forever because there are a ton of sunspots that I have, and we would be here all day. But I just kind of want you to see how we could actually color correct as we go back and spot treat areas. So as you can see, it does look like I have makeup on my face right now, right? So I'm going to use the little end here, and I'm going to just blend right where I was in those areas. I don't want to pull the product off, so I don't want to swipe. That's why I'm doing a lot of pressing and stippling. I want that product to stay right where it was. But if I get close up to the camera, which I will in just a second, you can see I have makeup on, right? That's what full coverage, right? That's okay for right now. That's not okay for our final look, right? We don't want to look like we have makeup on our face. So even if we have full coverage makeup that we've put on, and obviously I already did my eyes, we definitely want at the end of that, because we may have deposited too much product in one area. We may know that we're going to get deposit or creasing in certain places. And we really want to get the most longevity out of this product we can, especially since we really took our time adding extra. Once you get this technique down and you know what you're doing, you can do it pretty quickly and still get that full coverage look. So this is going to be our saving grace and our best tool, and that's the Perfector sponge. So before I started applying my makeup, I went and got this wet and I just wringed it out and wringed it out and wringed it out, so there really wasn't any water, and it's been sitting over beside me while I'm putting my makeup on, so it's drying and drying to that perfect consistency. You don't want this too wet when you get ready to use it, because then it will take the product off, but you do want it a little bit damp. Now the other thing I'm going to do at this point is spray just a little bit of setting spray on it. I'm going to wring it out again, because what we talked about, we don't want this sponge to be super wet, right? We're not looking to pull product off of a full coverage face. We are just going to set and pull off any excess that may be in areas. So I'm going to just start pressing. So the difference being, if you were a beginner, if you wanted medium coverage, or if you wanted to have more of a natural light coverage look, I would tell you to use the Perfector sponge in between each layer. But because we want full coverage, I'm going to use it at the end and just lightly press that product. And that setting spray is just going into all areas where I have applied product. Take your time with this. This is going to be your lifeline and game changer when it comes to your makeup sitting and setting. Now, we are going to add, we're not done yet, because we are definitely going to add a little bit of blush and some lip. We're going to use a little bit of setting powder to help us with that coverage. A little bit goes a long way. So you can see I really didn't have to use too much product. I just used the correct colors in the correct spots with the correct tools, and I'm still getting that full coverage look, but I don't really look like I have a bunch of makeup on. It's really not that different. My neck and my face are still matching. I was able to somewhat correct, or actually not somewhat, I did correct the areas that I wanted to, and now I can move on to some more of the fun things. Okay, so you can still see I still have that chiseled look with the contour on my face. At this point, if I went back and went, ugh, I don't like the way that looks, I really need a little bit more coverage, I would just go back and add a little bit more product to that one area and then just gently perfect. Use a couple different lip and cheeks to give me kind of an ombre look, if you will, on my cheek area. And then I'm going to show you how we use, this is Saffron. Saffron is so pretty. She's very, very, very pigmented. So a little goes definitely a long way with her. I'm going to put her up here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to blend this out. And I'm going to build this up as well because she's so pigmented. But I am going to use a little bit of nude, which is a little bit less. And I'm going to bring that to the front and right into where she is. It's just going to give me a little bit of a blended look. I'm going to take my blush and bronzer brush. Doesn't matter that I have highlight. I'm going to take the bigger end and I'm going to just swirl this product. I want to be really gentle because I don't want to pull my coverage off. I just want to blend this just a little bit. Love that. I love that ombre look so that it's just a little bit darker and lighter in the front. It is just so youthful. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with Saffron. Woo, baby. I'm going to put her on my bottom. On my top. She is definitely, definitely pigmented. If you like that, rock on. I'm going to take that nude and I'm just going to tone her down just a little bit right in the front. So I have her up here in the same color shade, and then I have her on my lips, which is all good, darling, all good. I'm just going to go over just a little bit with my Perfector sponge. And then I'm going to add a little bit of illuminator. This is Pearl. Pearl is, she is a cream. And I'm going to just tap her right above where my blush is. I could even use my finger and just bring her up right above my blush. It just gives us that extra little bit of shine and shimmer. When the light hits you just right, I could take her and put her right up on top of my eyeshadow. I could put her at the end of my nose, on my Cupid's bow, just to give us that little shimmer. I could use my multitask brush. I could go into her and just add a little bit more right in the corners here for just a little bit of a pop of a shimmer. Just like that. At this point, if you're more of a matte finish kind of person and you don't want to see the shine on your face, because creams are a little bit more dewy, not necessarily matte, we can accomplish that, but I'm going to just use my powder brush. You can see it's got kind of an angle to it, and I'm going to just press in the areas where I would have a little bit more shine. Pressing, definitely under the eyes, not swiping. Now, if you wanted a more matte look all over your face, you could use that blush and bronzer brush. And you could swirl that, not swipe, swirl that all over your face. That would definitely give you more of a matte type of a look. I'm just going to go in the areas where I know I typically get shine. And I'm just lightly pressing with that powder. Okay. With creams, they're just still warming to my skin. So as the day goes, it's going to get better and better. If for some reason I did get some creasing in the product, either on the inner part of my nose, maybe in the fine lines in my eyes, I could just use the warmth of my skin and actually go back into those areas lightly with my finger and press those out. I hope you liked this. I hope this is your jam and your look. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. I definitely go back after the videos, or you could message me privately. But keep watching. You are important and you are special, and we love having you here. Bye.